investing in this country, and we're making those decisions as we go.
And that's a more than $800 million investment,
Yeah,
right?
yes, just under $900 million, the most significant engine investment we've made in history. Oh, this is where I think the president and I are aligned, because we do believe that we need to have strong manufacturing, and frankly, we need to level the playing field. From a U.S. perspective,
Detroit thought it had heard every promise in the book until tonight. In a packed ballroom glowing with blue-collar nostalgia, GM's Mary Barra dropped a bomb. She's siding with Donald Trump's 25% auto tariff, insisting it's the only way to make the ground level again. On the surface, it looks like flag-waving patriotism. Scratch deeper, and you'll find a company bracing for a $5 billion hit, a global supply chain yanked back home, and a political gamble that could redraw the map of American manufacturing. In an election year, each layoff and price tag could tip the scales. For 40 years, Detroit has played a rigged game it could never quite win. While American sedans rolled off Midwestern lines and onto showrooms, rival brands glided in from overseas, cushioned by government subsidies, hidden export rebates, and currency tricks that shaved thousands from sticker prices before the cars even hit the dock. Japan set voluntary export limits that quietly protected its own factories. Europe tacked on inspection fees that magically applied only to imports. Beijing forced every US automaker into joint venture handcuffs, siphoning patents for pennies. GM watched loyal plants in Lordstown and Oshawa rust, while gleaming shiploads of compact SUVs sailed up the St. Lawrence, tax-advantaged and ready to undercut union paychecks. Executives slashed costs, outsourced dashboards to Mexico, and hunted for savings in spreadsheets, yet the scoreboard kept tilting crimson. By the time COVID throttled supply chains and the chip famine strangled production, the gap was a canyon. America carried the highest healthcare costs, the steepest environmental rules, and the thinnest tariff wall in the industrialized world. Barra has the spreadsheets to prove it. Billions bled each quarter just to keep pace with factories protected abroad by 30% custom shields. Something she decided had to snap. That something is a tariff big enough to make exporters gulp and force idle Midwestern presses back to life. But shock therapy comes with side effects, and GM is about to swallow the first bitter pill, because the moment those duties took effect, a brand new $5 billion question landed on Barra's desk. $5 billion. The figure isn't a typo, it's a crater roughly the size of GM's entire annual R&D budget slated to vanish if every imported bolt, turbo, and touchscreen suddenly costs a quarter more. Accountants flagged the red ink. Wall Street groaned. Rival CEOs whispered that Barra had lost her mind backing a policy that punishes her own balance sheet first. But the gamble isn't blind. Behind closed doors in the Rensen, strategists mapped out a reshuffle worthy of a chess grandmaster. Idle presses in Michigan restart stamping truck frames, a mothballed line in Indiana converts to battery housings, and Tonawanda, New York, famous for big block muscle, secures an $888 million injection to birth GM's next-gen V8. Barra's bet is simple: tighten the supply loop, slash China-made content to under 3%, and dare foreign brands to swallow the same tariff she's already pricing in. Short term, yes, dealerships will feel the squeeze. Some trims may quietly disappear. Sticker shock could spook buyers. Yet every dollar rerouted back into US plants spins a political story no competitor can match. Tens of thousands of middle-class jobs resurrected on live news feeds. If the plan works, GM emerges as both patriot and profit machine. If it fails, Barra owns the most expensive self-inflicted wound in automotive history. And just when analysts think they've modeled the risk, she unveils a move that rewrites the company's global playbook. Pulling back exports was the first public signal that Barra's tariff play isn't just defensive, it's a pivot away from the world's largest car market entirely. In early May, GM quietly stopped shipping niche performance models to China, redirecting those allocations to Canada and Mexico, where demand still outpaces inventory. Overnight, Shanghai customs officials began random teardowns of remaining US vehicles, a not-so-subtle warning that political friction now rides on every container. Inside GM's supply chain war room, maps glow with new logistics routes. Ohio pistons head straight to Texas assembly, Tennessee dashboards roll north by rail, and a revived stamping plant in Ontario feeds Detroit with panels once pressed in. Shenzhen. The goal is a 5-day parts orbit, all within NAFTA's borders, slashing exposure to the Pacific choke points that paralyzed automakers during the chip famine. Yet every rerouted shipment carries risk. Union leaders love the jobs but hate the overtime freeze needed to fund the shift. Wall Street traders smell margin erosion and dump shares on the rumor mill, and European regulators, eyeing their own sagging factories, float anti-dumping probes against any tariff-favored American import. Barra counters with a blitz of factory floor live streams, robots welding Silverado frames under giant US flags, painting GM as the comeback kid of industrial policy. It's working for now, but in 30 days she's due on Capitol Hill for a televised tariff hearing, and a single misstep there could turn her patriotic narrative into political cannon fodder. Barra walks into the Rayburn building flanked by line workers in blue coveralls and lobbyists in sharper suits. A living tableau of the stakes. Cameras flash, lawmakers, sensing airtime, sharpen their knives. A Florida congressman rattles off. Dealership complaints? Sticker prices on a Silverado LT climbing $2,000 in 3 weeks. A Michigan progressive counters that tariffs will boomerang on union families if foreign retaliation guts export sales. Barra never blinks. She cites hard numbers. Every $1 million of tariff cost is being matched by $1 million in fresh US. Capital spending. Each V8 built in Tonawanda keeps 500 machinists on payroll. She frames it as an insurance policy. Pay a premium now, secure domestic control of the next decade's supply chain. The room quiets when she reveals a new twist. GM will funnel tariff savings from rival imports into a consumer rebate for any vehicle assembled entirely in North America, effectively turning the tax into a carrot for buying American. The idea grabs headlines. Skeptics brand it a shell game. Yet the optics are undeniable. Barra is pitching herself as the rare CEO willing to share gains with drivers, not just shareholders. The panel ends in uneasy applause, but outside, Wall Street algorithms are already rewriting GM's valuation. Models overnight, and the very next morning, an unexpected phone call from Beijing threatens to upend everything. The Beijing line crackles, then delivers a gut punch. State officials warn that within 48 hours, every US-built engine entering China will face a temporary 40% surcharge, on top of Trump's tariff chess match. Translation, a single Colorado pickup could suddenly cost more than a Cadillac Escalade once it rolls off the dock in Tianjin. Wall Street algorithms light up crimson. One hedge fund desk dumps 2 million GM shares before the caller even hangs up. Yet Barra's war. Room has rehearsed this scenario for months. Phone Tree's trigger plan C. Reroute unsold export units to Brazil and the Gulf, activate idle capacity at a Tennessee battery supplier, and fast-track a Midwest startup that prints semiconductor wafers on flexible substrates. No Pacific shipping lanes required. Inside Detroit HQ, giant monitors show supply lines redrawing themselves in real time, like arteries bypassing a blocked valve. It's frantic, but not chaos. Barra's team treats each alert as a drill they've already aced. By dusk, analysts who predicted a margin bloodbath are revising numbers upward, stunned at how quickly a 1,000-mile detour can become a marketing stunt. No China parts tags start trending on truck owner forums, but a much bigger decision looms. Shanghai's joint venture plant, the crown jewel of GM's Asian footprint, now sits on the chopping block. Slashing it could cement the comeback or vaporize 2 decades of goodwill. Tomorrow at dawn, Barra has to choose. As dawn breaks, Mary Barra faces the starkest fork of her career. Keep one foot in Shanghai and pray tariffs cool, or slam the door and bet everything on a remade North American fortress. The numbers scream caution. The mood on the factory floor begs for courage. Whichever path she chooses, the lesson is already etched in chrome. Globalization is no longer a freeway but a minefield, and the winner will be the company nimble enough to redraw the map overnight. For GM and for every worker watching, the next move could reset the American dream. Detroit may wake up richer or furious, but it will not wake up the same.